I told you in 1956, and I'm telling you again, success is predictable. Not because luck favors the few, not because fate has a secret list of chosen names, but because the universe itself is built on law, not chance. The farmer who plants wheat does not reap thorns. The sailor who understands the stars does not lose his way. And the man or woman who understands the laws of success cannot help but succeed, because the outcome is written in the pattern of their daily thought, their discipline, and their desire. If I could whisper just one truth into the ear of every restless, uncertain soul tonight, it would be this: you already hold the blueprint. Every thought you nurture, every habit you practice, every goal you define, each is a seed. Plant it, water it, protect it, and it must bear fruit. That is not philosophy. That is fact. It was true in 1956, it was true 100 years before that, and it will be true long after we are gone. Success does not come to those who wish. It comes to those who work toward a clearly defined purpose. A ship without a destination drifts until it sinks, but a ship with a course, even against the storm, will reach its harbor. You see, the average person allows circumstances to dictate direction, but the successful man dictates his own. He writes his destination on paper, fixes it in his mind, and moves forward each day, whether the sea is calm or cruel. Most people never fail. They simply never start. They stand at the shore waiting for perfect conditions when success has never waited for anyone. The predictable path to greatness begins with one simple decision to begin. Take the first step toward that idea, that dream, that business, that craft, and life itself will rise up to meet your stride. But hesitate, and life will move on without you. There is no mystery to achievement. There is only cause and effect. Work faithfully on the cause. Discipline, learning, persistence, and the effect must appear. Success cannot be withheld from the man who earns it any more than daylight can be withheld from the dawn. It is as certain as gravity. Those who study the law of success and apply it daily are not gambling with life. They are working with it. So when I tell you that success is predictable, I am not offering hope. I am offering proof. You become what you think about. You move toward what you believe in. You attract what you prepare for. If you live by design, you will never again be surprised by the results you receive. The question, then, is not whether success is possible. It's whether you are willing to follow the law that governs it. Because the truth is as old as time: whatever you plant, you will harvest. And I told you that in 1956, and I am telling you again today. Imagine standing at the edge of possibility, the morning sun just breaking over the horizon. You feel it, that quiet certainty that life could be more, and yet most people turn away, believing success is something mysterious reserved for a chosen few. But look closely at the world around you, the soaring skyscrapers, the thriving businesses, the discoveries that changed the course of humanity. None of these came from chance. They came from law, immutable, unchanging, as certain as gravity. You can predict success just as surely as you can predict that a seed planted in good soil, watered and tended, will grow. The tragedy is that most people never test this law for themselves. They hope, they wish, they wait. But they never act on the principles that make success inevitable. Every life is a field and every thought a seed. Some plant weeds of worry, doubt, and fear, and then wonder why their garden bears nothing but confusion. Others plant seeds of purpose and discipline, and they harvest abundance. The law does not discriminate. It serves whoever understands and uses it. The difference between failure and success is not luck, not birthright, not circumstance. It is understanding. Once you truly understand that success is not accidental, your life changes direction. You stop chasing luck and start cultivating law. Think for a moment about the farmer. He knows that no matter how sincere his intentions, no crop will grow if he forgets to plant the seed. The seasons will not bend to his laziness. The soil will not pity him. Nature rewards effort, not emotion. Life operates in exactly the same way. There are seasons for everything. Times to sow, times to reap. And those who understand the rhythm of success can plan, act, and prosper accordingly. The farmer's faith is not blind, it is built on law. He knows that if he plants, waters, and waits, the harvest will come. You, too, can know that if you think, plan, and persist, success will come. Every great achievement you've ever admired began with a single, predictable decision: to begin with purpose. The scientist in his lab, the writer at her desk, the builder breaking ground, all began with an image in their minds, a thought made real through persistence. They didn't rely on luck. They relied on cause and effect. The predictable pattern of success is this: purpose in the mind, followed by disciplined action sustained by faith. That's it. Simple, powerful, repeatable. Yet the majority drift. They believe that external forces decide their fate. They talk about good breaks or bad luck. But listen carefully, those are words of surrender. The truth is, success belongs to those who accept responsibility for their own results. The moment you understand that your life today is the sum of your past thoughts and actions, you gain complete control over your future. You stop being a spectator and become the architect. Think of the mind as fertile ground. It will return whatever you plant in it. If you feed it doubt, you will live in doubt. If you feed it purpose, you will live with direction. If you nourish it with daily goals, effort, and gratitude, you will watch your reality align with your belief. You are not a product of chance. You are a product of design. Success is not something to be found. It is something to be created. Every successful person you've ever met, whether they were born in comfort or struggle, shared this one understanding: they could predict their future by their habits. They learned that the path to achievement is paved not by inspiration alone, but by repetition, discipline, and clarity of thought. They built success brick by brick, day after day, through small, predictable choices. And so I tell you again, success is not a miracle. It is a formula. It is the alignment of thought, purpose, and action. The laws that governed it in 1956 govern it still. When you think creatively, act decisively, and persist consistently, you will achieve what others call extraordinary. But to you, it will simply be the natural outcome of doing the right things in the right way, for the right reasons. The universe does not play favorites. It rewards those who understand its rhythm. Plant wisely, tend daily, and your success will not surprise you. It will simply confirm what you already knew: that success, like sunrise, can always be predicted. Every person walking this earth carries within them a silent architect, a power capable of shaping the world around them. Most never realize it because they're too busy chasing the effects of life instead of mastering its causes. Yet the principle remains: our results are not accidents. They are the direct offspring of our thoughts. The mind is the workshop of destiny, and what we consistently think about, we inevitably become. You can trace every success, every invention, every great civilization, back to a single idea held firmly in the human mind until it became real. The secret is not hidden, it's simply ignored. The human mind works with astonishing precision. It cannot distinguish between a thought vividly imagined and a reality already lived. Whatever you feed it, it accepts. If you tell it you are capable, it begins searching for evidence to prove you right. If you whisper that you are defeated, it will obediently deliver obstacles to match your belief. Your mind is the greatest servant you will ever have, but it demands clear direction. When you leave it idle, it drifts, just like an unpiloted ship tossed by the waves. But give it purpose, give it a destination, and it becomes unstoppable. Think for a moment about the difference between those who succeed and those who do not. Both groups start with the same raw materials: time, opportunity, thought. The difference lies in how they use those thoughts. The successful individual has learned to discipline his mind, to keep it fixed on what he wants instead of what he fears. He plants ideas of growth, abundance, progress, and contribution, and his life begins to reflect that internal order. The unsuccessful, by contrast, allow weeds of worry and doubt to grow unchecked. They water their fears, and those fears choke out every seed of possibility. You become what you think about. This isn't wishful philosophy. It's one of the most reliable laws in human experience. The salesman who believes he will succeed finds ways to reach new clients. The student who believes she can learn masters difficult subjects. The entrepreneur who believes his idea has value stays awake when others sleep, refining, improving, and ultimately triumphing. Belief guides behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. The path of success is carved first in thought, then in action. But thought alone is not enough. It must be linked to purpose. Without a clear goal, the mind is like a powerful engine running without direction. It burns fuel, makes noise, and goes nowhere. To make success predictable, one must have a definite aim. Decide exactly what you want, not vaguely, not something better, but precisely. Define it, write it down, and hold it before your mind's eye every single day. The moment your goal becomes definite, the law of cause and effect begins to move. Circumstances align, ideas emerge, and opportunities, once invisible, begin to appear. You've seen this law at work before. A person buys a new car, and suddenly that same model seems to be everywhere. Did the number of cars multiply overnight? No, the person's awareness expanded. The same happens with success. When you decide what you want, you begin noticing paths that were invisible to you before. You tune your mind to the frequency of your goal, and life responds in kind. That is the true miracle of purpose. It changes not the world, but your perception of it. Yet even with this knowledge, most people drift. They wait for permission, for certainty, for perfect timing. They talk about what they wish they could do, while those who understand the law are already moving. You see, life never rewards intention. It rewards action aligned with belief. A person who acts boldly, even imperfectly, sets forces in motion that hesitation can never touch. The moment you commit, unseen hands seem to guide your steps. But you must begin. You must take the first step toward your goal before the road appears. The mind is a magnet. It attracts that which it is in harmony with. Fill it with courage, and courage meets you on the road. Fill it with fear, and fear greets you at every turn. The difference between progress and paralysis lies in your dominant thought. You can predict your future simply by observing what you think about most. Are your thoughts consumed by possibility, by vision, by growth? Or are they anchored in worry and complaint? Whatever dominates the mind today will dominate your circumstances tomorrow. Every great story of achievement follows the same quiet pattern. A person dared to think differently. They saw a possibility no one else noticed, believed in it when no one else did, and acted on it until it became real. Success has no favorites. It simply follows law. When you think clearly, believe deeply, and act decisively, success must come. The formula never fails, so take charge of your thoughts. Guard them as the farmer guards his seed. Do not allow idle, negative, or aimless thinking to take root. Decide what you want, fix your mind upon it, and move toward it daily. In time, the law will fulfill its promise. Your thoughts will become things, and you will realize that the power to predict your own success was never outside of you. It was within your own mind all along. Picture a great ship preparing to leave the harbor. The crew stands ready, the engines hum with power, and the captain holds a chart in his hand. Every course, every stop, every harbor is plotted before the vessel ever touches the open sea. It will face storms, winds, and tides, but it will not wander. It knows where it is going. Now imagine another ship, identical in every way except one. There is no captain, no chart, and no destination. The engines start, and it drifts out into the current. It may move for days or weeks, but where will it go? Nowhere of significance. It will end up broken against the rocks or lost in some forgotten corner of the ocean. The difference between those two ships is the same difference between success and failure, a definite goal. Every individual is born a captain of their own ship. The mind is the vessel, thought is the engine, and purpose is the compass. Yet most people live as though they were passengers, waiting for someone else to steer. They rise, work, eat, sleep, and repeat, but they never ask where they are going. They confuse movement with progress, activity with achievement. Without a goal, they drift, and the winds of circumstance decide their fate. But those who set a destination, those who take the time to define a purpose so clear they can see it even with their eyes closed, cannot fail to reach it. It is astonishing how simple this law is, and yet how few apply it. When a person commits to a clear, specific goal, something extraordinary begins to happen. Their energy aligns, their thoughts sharpen, their actions gain direction. They stop scattering their efforts on trivial things. Each day becomes meaningful because it now serves something greater than itself. The man who knows his purpose works longer, but he does not grow tired. The woman who knows her purpose faces obstacles, but she is not discouraged. Purpose gives power. It turns ordinary labor into meaningful pursuit. You can predict a person's future by observing their aim. Show me someone who wakes up with no plan, and I will show you someone bound to remain as they are. But show me a person who rises each morning with a clear vision of what they intend to do, and I will show you someone the world must eventually take notice of. The human mind was not designed to wander endlessly. It was built to pursue, to create, to conquer. It craves a target, something definite to work toward. Without it, the spirit withers. With it, the ordinary becomes exceptional. Clarity is power. When you write down a goal, you transform a dream into direction. That simple act of defining what you want triggers forces both within and beyond you. You begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. Ideas come to you in quiet moments. People with the same vision cross your path. None of it is coincidence. Life responds to clarity with cooperation. The more definite your purpose, the more predictable your progress. Consider this: an airplane flying from one city to another spends almost the entire journey off course. Winds push it, weather diverts it, yet it always arrives. Why? Because it has a flight plan. It makes thousands of small corrections guided by its destination. The same is true of success. You do not have to move in a straight line. You will make mistakes, detour, and sometimes fall short. But if your goal remains fixed in your mind, you will always adjust, realign, and continue forward. Most people never create this plan for their lives. They say, "I'll take whatever comes," as if fate were a lottery ticket. But that attitude guarantees only disappointment. You would never step into a taxi and say, "Take me anywhere." You would tell the driver exactly where you wish to go. Life works the same way. It cannot take you where you have not decided to arrive. Until you set your destination, you remain a traveler without direction. The great paradox of life is that the moment you choose a goal, everything else begins to fall into place. Doubt fades, energy increases, and distractions lose their hold. The reason is simple: purpose simplifies. It tells you what matters and what doesn't. When you know where you are going, you stop wasting time on roads that lead nowhere. You develop discipline, not because someone demands it, but because your vision requires it. You discover courage, not because you have no fear, but because your dream deserves it. This is the predictable pattern of every great success story. A person dares to choose a direction, commits to it completely, and refuses to quit until they arrive. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it by moving forward. Their purpose pulls them through difficulty, just as gravity pulls the tide. And when they finally reach their destination, the world calls them lucky, not realizing that luck had nothing to do with it. They were simply following a law as old as creation itself: decide where you're going, and keep going until you get there. So long as a person has a definite goal, they are never lost. The storms may rage, the winds may turn, but the compass remains true. And that is why success is predictable. For those who chart their course, it is not a matter of if, but only a matter of when. There comes a moment in every life when the difference between success and failure hangs on a single decision. The decision to begin, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Most people spend years standing at the edge of their own potential, gazing across at the life they could have, while fear whispers reasons to wait a little longer. They tell themselves they're not ready, that the timing isn't right, that they need one more sign, one more assurance. And yet, all the while, time moves on, indifferent and silent. The great secret of achievement is that the first step, however uncertain, is worth more than 1,000 intentions. Nothing happens until you start moving. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality. You can think, plan, and prepare, but until you act, your ideas remain ghosts of possibility. The person who begins, even imperfectly, learns more in a week than the dreamer learns in a lifetime. Every successful life began with that moment of motion. The phone call made despite trembling hands, the book written one hesitant page at a time. The business started with little more than faith and persistence. Success rewards movement. The law of motion applies to more than physics. It governs human progress as well. Once you begin, momentum gathers, and every step forward creates the power for the next. The tragedy is that so many people are paralyzed by the illusion of perfection. They believe they must know everything before they start, that the stars must align, that the path must be clear from beginning to end. But no great achievement ever began in perfect clarity. The pioneers of industry, art, and science stepped into the unknown. They faced uncertainty, mistakes, even ridicule, yet they continued. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not genius. It's the courage to act while others hesitate. Waiting for certainty is waiting forever. Every person who ever built something meaningful began with what they had and where they were. The tools will never all be ready, the timing will never feel ideal, and the conditions will never be flawless. The universe reserves its rewards for those who show faith through action. It is as if life itself watches to see who will move first, and only after that first step does it begin to reveal the next. You don't need to see the entire staircase, only the step in front of you. Each small act of courage lights the path a little further ahead. Procrastination is the silent killer of potential. It disguises itself as wisdom, whispering, "Wait until you're ready." But readiness does not come from waiting. It comes from doing. The first attempts will be clumsy, the results imperfect, but each effort refines you. Skill grows through use, not theory. Confidence is built on repetition, not reassurance. Every moment spent waiting is a moment stolen from your own progress. Life belongs to the doers, the ones who act before they feel brave enough. Think of how the smallest spark can ignite a vast fire. One decisive moment, one bold choice, can set the course of an entire lifetime. History is filled with examples of ordinary people who took one brave step and changed the direction of the world. The artist who painted through rejection, the inventor who failed 100 times, the leader who spoke when silence was safer. Each of them began with uncertainty, but they acted anyway. Action transforms doubt into strength. It teaches, refines, and reveals. There's an unshakable truth about progress. Movement attracts opportunity. When you begin to act on your goals, life begins to cooperate. You meet people who can help you. You discover resources you never noticed before, and challenges that once seemed impossible begin to shrink in the light of momentum. The universe seems to bend in favor of the determined, but it only does so for those already in motion. Success does not chase the hesitant, it joins those already walking the path. Failure, too, loses its sting when you act. When you're moving forward, mistakes become teachers rather than punishments. Each setback refines your method, strengthens your resolve, and brings you closer to mastery. The person who never begins fears failure forever. The one who acts learns that failure is only feedback. Every great success is built upon a mountain of small defeats, each one a stepping stone for the next rise. The habit of action builds character. When you train yourself to act despite fear, you develop courage. When you act despite doubt, you build faith. When you act despite fatigue, you forge endurance. These are the invisible muscles of success, formed only through doing. The mind learns discipline only when it's forced into motion. And once you begin, you'll find that action becomes easier. It builds momentum like a rolling wheel. The hardest part is always the first push. If you wait for motivation to strike, you'll never move. Motivation does not precede action, it follows it. Begin, and energy appears. Start, and the excitement grows. Work and inspiration meets you along the way. The great irony of progress is that those who start before they feel ready become ready as they start. Life honors boldness. The moment you step forward, you set in motion a chain of events that no amount of hesitation could ever produce. So, do not wait for the right time, create it. Do not hope for the path to clear. Walk through it. The predictable truth of success is that it belongs to those who act. Every goal, every dream, every vision waits on one thing: your decision to begin. And when you finally take that step, you'll realize the door was never locked. It was only waiting for you to turn the handle. There is a law at work in your life so constant, so absolute, that once you understand it, you will never again be surprised by your results. It is the law of cause and effect. Everything that happens, every success, every failure, every joy, every disappointment, is the direct result of something that came before it. Nothing happens by accident. If you plant the right seeds, you will get the right harvest. If you plant nothing, you will reap nothing. The universe is perfectly fair. It simply gives you back what you put into it. That is why success can be predicted, because it follows law, not luck. When you observe the most successful people in any field, whether they are leaders, creators, innovators, or builders, you will find they all operate by this same understanding. They know that the results they experience tomorrow are built by the causes they create today. They take deliberate control of their actions, their habits, and their thinking. They understand that outcomes are not random. They are earned. They do not waste time blaming the world, the economy, or other people for their circumstances. They know the responsibility is theirs, and in that responsibility lies their freedom. Most people misunderstand success. They think it comes from chance encounters, a lucky break, or some mysterious stroke of fate. But those who study the lives of achievers discover that luck favors the prepared mind. Opportunity is everywhere, but only those who are ready can recognize and seize it. Preparation creates its own fortune. When you work hard, when you study, when you build skill and discipline, you are stacking the odds in your favor. You are creating causes that will inevitably produce effects. The law never fails. Think about the farmer who tends his fields. He doesn't stand by idly, hoping the earth will bless him with a good crop. He tills the soil, plants the seed, waters it, and removes the weeds. He follows a process, and nature rewards him accordingly. Now imagine another man who sits on his porch, complaining that his neighbor's land is more fertile, that the rain favors others. That success is unfair, yet he has planted nothing. He forgets that the earth gives equally to all. It simply mirrors the effort of the one who works it. Life functions in the same way. It rewards the doer, not the dreamer. Every day, through your thoughts and actions, you are planting seeds in the soil of your future. Some people sow diligence, patience, and learning, and in time they harvest prosperity and peace. Others plant resentment, laziness, or fear, and they reap struggle and regret. The harvest is always fair. That's the great assurance of life. You are not a victim of luck, but a creator of outcomes. Once you grasp this, you no longer wait for change, you cause it. Work is the visible expression of belief. If you believe success is possible, you act accordingly. If you believe in your goal, you show up every day to nurture it. The law of cause and effect multiplies effort over time. A single hour of study each day becomes a mastery in a few years. One act of kindness each morning becomes a reputation of trust. One disciplined decision today becomes freedom tomorrow. The person who works faithfully on the cause can rest peacefully, knowing the effect is already on its way. But this law is impartial. It works just as surely in reverse. Neglect brings decay. Indecision brings stagnation. Complaining brings misery. Whatever you give to life, life returns in kind. You can predict the destiny of any person by observing their daily causes. The one who invests in learning, growth, and service will inevitably rise. The one who invests in excuses, distractions, and blame will just as surely fall. There are no exceptions, only delayed results. This is why effort and discipline matter so much. You cannot change the harvest overnight, but you can change the seeds today. Every small action counts. Every choice compounds. The smallest improvement repeated daily produces extraordinary outcomes over time. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in a few years of consistent effort. They abandon the field too soon, just before the harvest breaks through the soil. Patience is as much a cause of success as hard work. The law rewards those who persist long enough for their efforts to mature. The great paradox of this law is that once you truly understand it, life becomes simple. You no longer wonder why others succeed. You see their causes. You no longer envy, you emulate. You stop waiting for life to change. You begin to direct it. Every cause you plant becomes a promise. Plant study, and wisdom will grow. Plant service, and opportunity will come. Plant discipline, and success will find you. The universe does not cheat anyone, it simply keeps perfect records. So whenever you find yourself wondering about your future, don't look to fortune or fate. Look at the causes you are creating today. Your habits, your thoughts, your choices, they are shaping the effect that is to come. There is no mystery, no secret, no hidden hand. The law is simple, visible, and constant. To control your results, control your causes. To change your life, change your actions. And once you live by this truth, success will cease to be a question. It will become a certainty. There's a moment in life when realization dawns with such clarity that it can change a person forever. The realization that the laws of success never fail. They never have, and they never will. Everything around you, every achievement you see, every comfort you enjoy, is the result of someone understanding and applying these laws with purpose. The people you call fortunate are not chosen by chance. They are simply those who learn to align themselves with principle. Success is not an accident. It is the effect of deliberate causes, repeated patiently and faithfully over time. When you study those who rise above the average, a pattern appears, so simple and yet so profound. They know what they want. They think about it constantly. They believe in its possibility. They act on it daily. And they refuse to give up until it becomes real. These are not extraordinary traits. They are ordinary traits practiced with extraordinary consistency. The difference between mediocrity and mastery lies not in brilliance, but in belief followed by sustained effort. You could take away a successful person's possessions, and given time, they would rebuild it all. Because success is something they are, not something they have. Thought is the beginning of everything. You are always becoming what you think about most. If you fill your mind with purpose, faith, and gratitude, Your actions will follow in harmony with those thoughts. If you fill it with fear, anger, and limitation, your actions will reflect that as well. The law is impartial. It doesn't judge. It only delivers results according to what you plant. That is why success is predictable, because the harvest is always a reflection of the seed. Change your thinking, and you change your results. But thought alone, however powerful, must be united with persistence. Every dream worth having demands endurance. Life tests every vision before it grants the reward. The weak give up too soon, mistaking temporary struggle for permanent defeat. Yet those who endure learn that hardship is not a barrier but a bridge. Every setback carries the seed of an equal or greater benefit if you refuse to quit. The world yields its treasures only to those who prove themselves willing to pay the price of perseverance. There is something almost divine in the way the law responds to faith in action. When you take responsibility for your life, when you stop waiting for luck and start acting with intention, you awaken creative forces within yourself. New ideas appear. The right people enter your path. Circumstances shift in your favor. It is not magic. It is the alignment of thought, belief, and purpose. You begin to operate on the same frequency as opportunity itself. And once you are tuned to that frequency, everything you need to fulfill your purpose begins to move toward you. Observe the difference between those who live by design and those who drift. The drifter complains, blames, and resents. He believes the world owes him something, and so he receives nothing. The purposeful person works, learns, and adapts. He believes he must become more to achieve more, and so he does. Both live under the same sun, the same economy, the same conditions, but their results differ entirely. Why? Because one applies the law and the other ignores it. One takes control of cause, the other is controlled by effect. The moment you accept that your future depends entirely on your own thoughts and actions, you become free. You no longer envy anyone. You no longer wait for rescue. You realize that every person who ever achieved greatness began from the same raw materials: time, mind, and choice. What you do with those determines everything. The person who spends each day growing, improving, and serving cannot fail, because he is obeying the fundamental rule of progress. All growth begins within. There will be times when you feel tired, when the reward seems distant. But that is when faith must do its work. Faith is not a blind hope. It is a calm knowing that effort and purpose cannot go unrewarded. You may not see the results yet, but the law is already working. Every bit of discipline, every ounce of integrity, every act of courage is a deposit in the account of success, and the day will come when the balance matures. Success has never been about miracles. It is about alignment of thought, purpose, and consistent action. The same laws that turned ideas into inventions, that raised men from poverty to prominence, that built civilizations from wilderness. Those laws are still working today, waiting for you to use them. The question is not whether they will work for you. The question is whether you will work with them. Because success has never been unpredictable. It follows the same rhythm as sunrise and gravity. You think, you act, you persist, and life, by its very nature, must respond. And so, we arrive at the final truth, one as timeless as the dawn and as certain as gravity. Success has never been a mystery. It is not granted by fortune or fate, nor reserved for the gifted few. It is the result of law, steady, predictable, and unfailing. The same principles that governed achievement in 1956 govern it today. What you think, you become. What you sow, you reap. What you work toward, you inevitably attain. The path has never changed. Only our willingness to walk it does. If you have listened with your heart as much as your mind, you already know what must be done. Define your purpose. Fill your mind with it until it becomes part of your nature. Act each day with discipline and faith. Let no setback shake your vision, no delay discourage your resolve. For every moment of honest effort moves you closer to the life you imagine. You need not compete with others. You need only complete the work that calls to you. Success is not an accident waiting to happen. It is a conclusion waiting to be earned. Every great life is built the same way. Thought by thought, action by action, day by day. The world does not owe you opportunity, it offers it. It waits patiently for you to take command of your mind and move with intention. And when you do, when you commit fully to the law of cause and effect, life itself begins to conspire in your favor. So remember these words, not as a promise, but as a principle. Success is predictable. It was true yesterday, it is true today, and it will be true for as long as the sun rises. You hold in your hands the blueprint of achievement, the ability to think, to choose, to act, and to persist. Use it wisely, because the secret you've been seeking has never been hidden. It has been waiting patiently within you all along.